Hi and hello, watch fans, and welcome to Micro Praha 2025. We are here at the central train station of Czechia's glorious capital, Prague, to celebrate the world of independent watchmaking. And I am here with one of our favorite guests, Øystein from Straum, the Norwegian powerhouse in the micro brand world, to talk about the event, the reaction thus far to your watches today, and generally how you're feeling. Let's start with the last question. How are you feeling today, mate?
I'm feeling pretty good. I got a good night's sleep, so I'm
Someone
ready.
Yeah, at least you did. Sensible as always. And we got to the fair before it started today at 10 o'clock, and setup was pretty quick. You've got your new display, your modular display. How do you think that's been received so far?
I think it's been received well. It is work in progress. It took 20 minutes longer than expected to set up, but we already have version 2 in our head, so hopefully next year we'll have the new version. Yeah.
Always developing, always moving forwards, and not just with watches, with display materials and also with concepts for the brand. But let's focus on the watches themselves, because that's what people have mostly been looking at today. What's the feeling you get from the Czech audience towards Straum?
Yeah, so we met a lot of familiar faces today, which is always really great. People really like Straum, it seems, and I think people really appreciate the Norwegian aspect of it as well. Yeah, I think we're super happy with how the new models have been received. Obviously, the TRTS model is really popular. I think beyond our expectations, so really happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite happy about it as well, to be honest. It's a real joy to see people pick it up and, their eyes widen when Lasse blasts the dial with UV light and sets that lightsaber seconds hand ablaze.
That's right.
It's great to see. The other models that you've got on display, aside from the TRTS Stormy Seas, you have the Arctic collection, which is focused on some very, very strange, unusual color combinations that you see in Norwegian nature. One of the reasons why it's regarded globally as one of the most beautiful natural landscapes, because you do have these striking colorways. Tell us about those. Tell us about each model in that collection, the colors that you deployed upon them, and who you find is most attracted to models like that.
Yeah, I'll start with the one that's most popular, which is the Northern Lights. We call it the Aurora Sky. So that is quite simple in its intention. It is to capture the beautiful gradient from green to blue that we see in our part of the world up on the sky as Northern Lights. And then we have the Alpine Glow, which is an attempt to capture a phenomenon that is, I guess, very common and close to Norwegians, which is the beautiful peachy orange sunset on snow-clad mountains. So you get this quite unusual, but still quite natural gradient from, well, peach to blue. And then we have the Tundra Brown, which is primarily inspired by part of the expedition that we did to Jan Mayen. We also obviously started at Svalbard, and Svalbard has a fairly unique geography, and it has really ferrous soil, which creates these beautiful gradients from brown to darker brown and lighter brown. So that's the Tundra Brown. And then we have the Meltwater Teal, which is quite a special gradient from a teal color to a white color, which is an attempt to capture the process of snow and ice melting into water. Yeah.
Do you find that the audience for those models is similar to the core Jan Mayen collection and the previous Ophav and Masterclass releases, or do you think that this has opened the doors to Straum for more people?
I think it has opened for more people. I think it definitely attracts a broader audience. It is arguably the most expressive colors and the most expressive dials that we have. The pattern is common among all the Arctic models, but obviously the colors are a bit, you could say, bolder, perhaps a bit more commercial, is fair to say. And we think it was a good step. It was a good way to expand our brand a bit and to not fall always in the trap of being too conservative as Norwegians. Yeah, we think it's a success. Yeah.
talking of releases and commerciality when it comes to product design, you recently released 2 special editions. One with TRTS, the Stormy Seas, which is known for its more desaturated gray-blue dial and the contrasting bright orange seconds hand. You also released another titanium Jan Mayen model with Time and Tide, which is available in their studio in London and Melbourne, and I believe it will be available in New York as well at some point.
Yeah, we're currently in London and then in New York. We're not yet in Melbourne.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sure if somebody wanted to order it through them in Melbourne, they'd be able to sort it out, right? So, you know, if you go there and try on, like, or if you're able to try on another Straum anywhere else in the world, you can get it through Time and Tide. And that's got a lovely green gold dial, is what I've heard it referred to as, which is actually quite indicative of natural colors that we saw in the landscape on Jan Mayen itself, the very almost alien moss that covers those cliffs. I think that up until now, the most, I would say, commercial models you've done are the white dial and then the blue. And the blue, in addition to being commercial, is along with the green, the previous green, the more saturated core green, extremely arresting. These are the models that really hook people's attention and pull them in to the Straum universe. The Arctic collection is even wilder, in my opinion, because you see colorways that you don't normally see on watch dials. It's extremely organic, extremely special. So maybe, in my mind, that's less commercial. Now, you've released these, I might be wrong, by the way, because there aren't so many options or competitors on that front, so maybe it is very commercial. But have you found that those more experimental, extravagant colorways are as or more successful than you thought? And how does it compare now you've seen the response to the desaturated dials of the Stormy Seas and the Time and Tide special edition?
Yeah, I think ultimately it caters to slightly different audiences. And, you know, for a brand like us, which is still quite young, and, you know, we have 20,000 Instagram followers, and for us, just expanding our brand reach and finding new circles of customers is, I think it's important for us. So I think it makes a lot of sense for us to have our core collection of the blues and the blacks and the greens and the white, and then stepping out and trying to experiment and try something new, and obviously nature is a huge source of inspiration, so we're really excited to really find new concepts and new colorways and ideas in nature, and we really also think that we want to. I mean, we have lots of colors and lots of ideas on the drawing board, but we don't want to just push out new colors all the time. We really do want to set it in the context of a story. It doesn't have to be a really complicated story. It doesn't have to require that much, but we do want to contextualize it for people. And we also experience the value of that when we go to these fairs, because unlike selling online, we now actually get the chance to present the products to people, and we can tell the story about, okay, this is, this Stormy Sea style is when we went on a sailing trip to Jan Mayen, and we had stormy weather, and et cetera, et cetera. So creating these products within stories is important to us.
Nature is a vast source of inspiration, as you say, and Norway has one of the more diverse natural landscapes, I would say. Certainly a lot of colors, a lot of textures available for inspiration. But your concept of exploring and personal growth is not really just limited to nature, is it? It also has like other avenues and other ways it can be interpreted and changed. Do you plan on expanding your inspiration scope in the future to bring in maybe urban environments or other pastimes that aren't necessarily us risking life and limb to go climb a volcano? So.
Yes, the short answer is yes. I think up until this point, the context and the frame of Straum has been Norway as a country, or obviously are also other locations outside of mainland Norway. But I think going forward, we're expanding that scope to also be Norwegians going on an expedition. So it's less about perhaps exactly the place that we go, whether that's Norwegian, but the fact that we're Norwegian, we have that explorer spirit in us. Yeah, as long as we find these beautiful places and we can capture them in our stories and in our products, we think that's really exciting. Yeah.
You've been around now for over 4 years. You've had several families released over that period of time, 2 distinct watch platforms, should we say, sort of case shapes, as it were. Apart from the Rasterklaus shared the initial case silhouette, now the Jan Mayen with its titanium version, steel version, and the smaller capsules and limited editions has its own thing. I know you're tirelessly working on new stuff behind the scenes. What, if you can give us any indication, and when can people hope to see coming from you in, say, 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, so as you know, we have a lot on the drawing board for next year. Some models will sit closer to the current offerings in terms of general case platform and dials, and some will really take a big step, you know, sideways or forward, depending on how you look at it, introducing products that are more catered for expeditions. So think more like functional pieces, field watches, etc., where really function is at the core of the product. But again, also really pushing the boundaries on expressive dials and doing more with loom, pushing manufacturing processes. Some of the models we've had now in development for more than 2 years, which is ultimately, I think it's a good thing. We're also obviously keen and anxious to get these products out, but we do experience that when we give that process some time, each revisiting of the product, each new process really increases the value of it. So I think, yeah, we're really excited about next year.
So you're really looking into fleshing out this concept of inspired by, designed for, 2 columns, 2 tenets, a more textured angle on one sense, emotionally textured, if not physically textured, and then technical on the other. So you're going to have these more distinct pillars where you're able to be explorers of poetic watchmaking, as it were, you know, to bring in these colors and these forms that you see around you, and then you've got something else that is going to be like totally laser focused on getting the job done.
Yep.
So that's quite exciting. Have you heard from the audience that they want that kind of thing? Because this must be an interesting moment for you as a brand, and kind of a jumping off point. You've gone this far, and you've gone very far in 4.5 years on the textured dial, colorful dial concept. Yes, you've presented them in excellent cases that are extremely wearable and versatile and really quite suitable for most wrists. And the watch you're wearing at the moment is the first special edition we did together with Fratello, actually, the red dial in the stainless steel case, but it's on the new FKM rubber strap. This case is just under 39 millimeters wide. So it's very, I would say, forgiving on the wrist. It's compact. You know, a lot of the case's character comes from the pill or the lozenge shape that you've managed to carry through your designs up until this moment. But do you think that this is what people expect from Straum? Do you think it's what they want? Do you know it's what they've want? Or is it what you feel is the direction you need to travel?
I think it's both. I think our current customers and prospective customers, they tell us they want to see more of both directions. And as designers, we're also keen to explore both those directions. And I think the titanium platform that we launched this year, and also fleshed out further with new models, I think that has proven to us that if you compare the titanium with the stainless steel, which was again stainless steel on a steel bracelet, which was quite in the inspired by category, quite classical and obviously functional pieces, but more in the context of traditional watchmaking. I think the new titanium platform with the new quick release coupling that we have, the rubber straps, definitely allowed us to explore this built for direction. And I think people are really loving it. And so we want to push that direction even more.
How's it been for you as a designer, as a product developer, like tackling this new angle? Because it's a hugely different challenge when you bring in all of that technical, the very graphical style of watch design, rather than the beautiful and romantic designs that you've put out into the market thus far.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
I would say that creating field watches and more functional pieces, within this built for tenet is, in many ways, for someone like us who's a industrial designer. Lasse and I are both industrial designers, and we come in to watchmaking from our perspective. I think doing field watches can be harder, right? Because I would say that there are much stricter laws governing that category. You have to fulfill a long list of criteria, and there are, through decades, or if not hundreds of years, there are well-proven ways of solving it. And if you don't study the archetypes well, you might mess up.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want to break any rules or do anything new, you really need to know the source material inside out.
Yeah.
Because we've been throwing some sketches together recently, and the problems become very quickly apparent when you try and communicate a lot of information clearly. It's no joke. People think, oftentimes I think people would agree that the key to design is simplifying something, or making something complex appear simple, and reducing the visual noise is paramount to a successful field watch. And that has been challenging, has it not?
Yeah, and I would say that designing a case and designing a functional dial design is two vastly different tasks.
Right.
And I would say that designing a case lends itself more easily to us as industrial designers, because designing a functional dial is very much it's a graphical exercise. It's a 2D exercise of understanding, okay, what are the different categories of info that need to go into the dial, and where do you put it, and what are the conventions, and what should you do and what should you not do. But it, for us as designers, that's a cool learning experience. So yeah.
It's certainly a lot of fun, but it is not easy work. And I am really excited to see what you settle on eventually at the end of the process. And I can't wait to see what the result will be when you show that to the world, because I think that as you build out this built for tenet of the brands, people will start to see the second stage of your evolution and get an idea of where you'll be, not in 4 years, but in 10, 20, 30, 40. It feels to me like you are one of the brands that will go the distance. You feel very deeply rooted in the industry. And I think that that's really apparent at events like Micro Praha, where we are today, of course. And let's talk about that event now, just for a little bit, because ever since you launched onto the scene, and post-COVID, when it was possible to go to events, you've done your due diligence to be present where possible around the world. But what type of events have you focused on as a growing brand, and which ones have you ignored?
Yeah, I think as a brand of our size, we need to find the fairs that work well for us. So we could try and aim really high and go to the most prestigious sort of high level fairs, but I think, and that would probably have a very good outcome for us in terms of awareness, etc. But I think we also need to acknowledge that we're still a small brand, and we really want to meet prospective customers and people who can give us attention and valuable feedback and give us basically a foundation to learn as a brand. So we've aimed for most of the wind-up fairs on the circuit. We did Dallas, SF, Chicago, New York. In fact, we did all, I guess, this year. Micro Prague, obviously. Intersect, the fairs in LA and Austin were both great. We went to the Toronto Pint and Timepiece show, and I believe Lasse went to another one in Canada. Düsseldorf we did. our main market is the US, and secondary is Europe. So obviously we put a lot of focus on that. But I think we seeked out good fairs this year that matched for us, and yeah, we're happy. Yeah.
You're happy with the organization of Micro Praha and its third year now and second year in this wonderful location?
Yeah, no, it's great. This fair it feels special.
Yeah.
I guess last year it wasn't our first fair, but it was one of the first ones that we cut our teeth at this fair and some of the other ones. So it's really nice to be back, and of course we both love this city. And,
yeah, we do.
It's great. Yeah.
It is good to be here together, and it's good to be here we anticipate up to 4,000 visitors this year, which would be a slight uptick of around 10-15% increase on last year's footfall, which is incredible because firstly, the location helps. We are in the old building of the train station, and it's a very strange train station. A lot of it's underground and hidden away. It's a bit like a warren, to be honest. But when you get into this portion of it, you see the grandeur and the majesty of Czech architecture as it was. It's a great place to visit and obviously very easy to get to via the railway network. We couldn't ask for more, really, and I hope that it turns out to be just as much of a success as it has been for Banu and Ondra in the previous years, and that we continue to grow this event and continue to welcome you back year after year after year after year as we continue our love affair with the city of Prague and watches, of course, independent watchmaking. And yeah, let's just let's keep it going, and let's hopefully hope that we are able to power through what is sure to be a very long night and a very early morning, because that's how it goes here.
That's how we roll.
Ace, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I know I had to pull you away from the stand when you were 3 deep as usual, so hopefully Lars has survived in your absence, but you better get back out there and go see your Odor in public.
I will. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Cheers.